Hi, welcome to KiwaniTalk. We're a public information show put together by people from the Dearborn Kiwanis Club, usually with help from students at Dearborn High School, but since this is the middle of summer, students are on vacation, so we are on a remote location at an undisclosed location somewhere deeply within the bowels of a building in West Dearborn. My name is Gary Gardner. Welcome to the show where we're going to talk about, as I said at the beginning, public information. And there's nothing more public than voting. There's nothing more public than records that are kept by the government. And to talk about public records, we have with us the illustrious, the honorable George Darany, who's the city clerk of the city of Dearborn. Welcome to the show, George.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that great introduction.
You're very welcome to have you. It's not your first time to the rodeo.
No.
You're on the show. Welcome back.
Thank you.
But people who didn't catch the last episode or two don't know much about you, but you were a long-term Dearborn person.
Yeah, I consider myself a lifelong Dearborn resident. Actually, my parents moved here in 1959, so that's been a long time.
Right.
And went to Edsel Ford High School, went to University of Michigan Dearborn, graduated from there. I started a business in my 20s. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember the trolleys that I used to?
Dearborn Trolley Company.
Yeah,
I remember those. Yeah.
Yeah, I started that in 1986, and then in 2007, I was elected to the city council. After that, I was the state representative for 6 years, and then in 2017, I was elected to be the city clerk, and I've been the clerk ever since.
So what was it at the beginning of your political career that attracted you to run for council and then move up the echelons?
You know, it's funny. I was doing the trolley work and meeting a lot of people from the city of Dearborn, and I actually became good friends with Mayor Guido, and just one day, I think he came up to me and he goes, you know, you've got the personality for this. Why don't you think about running for office? Maybe you should run for city council. And I said, nah, I don't want to do that. I'm happy just being the trolley guy and running my business and maybe expanding it and going into other cities. But that never came about. And so I decided, okay, maybe I should try. And I ran unsuccessful, actually, the first couple times before I actually got elected.
And how long were you on the council?
Just for one term, 1 4-year term.
And so the council is really a microcosm of the legislature.
Yeah.
And in some respects, it may be easier to learn on the job of the council because there's, 14 members on the council? Or no, probably seven. Seven. I'm thinking that's how many people it could run. But
yes.
7 council members. So each individual on the council has a lot more hands-on than a Michigan legislature House of Representatives with 110 or 115.
110, yeah. So it was a good learning experience being on the council for 4 years, and I got to know all the department heads, of course, when you're on the council, and other council members and other Wayne County commissioners, and so it was a good group of people to learn from. And so when I took the job in Lansing, which is also a very big learning curve in Lansing too. It's like you're blown away your first 2 or 3 weeks because of everything that's happening in Lansing. But over time you get to learn the ropes in Lansing too, and meet more people from all over the state. So I really enjoyed being the state rep for 6 years. At that time you were term limited, so you could only serve 3 2-year terms. Now you can serve up to 12 years.
Okay, so that, and I was at the beginning of term limits, I was in favor of it. Then I realized that when you go to Lansing, it takes you the first 2 years to find out where the bathrooms are.
That's correct.
And what was your experience with that?
Yeah,
the whole process.
I actually got lost once in the Capitol building, and my phone died on me at the same time that I got lost in this corridor, and I couldn't get out. As soon as I walked in, the door slammed behind me, and you couldn't open it up to go back out again. And then I went all the way down to the bottom, and the bottom said, if you open up this door, an alarm will go off. And here I was just there for the first couple of weeks. I'm not going to set off any alarms. I don't want to be in the newspaper saying, state rep gets lost and sets off fire department, So I just waited and waited, and finally I just banged on the door loud enough, and somebody opened up the door and let me out, but I went into a wrong door. Yep. But it's like you said, it's just trying to find your way around in the building itself, and then learning. I had a great person that was my legislative aide, and he had been there for 20 years by the name of Bill Drake. He's still there, and Bill really was a big asset to me because he helped me and showed me where to go, what to do, who to talk to, who not to talk to. And so having people around you that are familiar with Lansing is really a huge asset.
So after your term limit was up, you came back to Dearborn, and then why the city clerk?
So I had my eye on the city clerk's office even before I went to Lansing. I enjoyed, again, talking to people. You work at the counter all the time with people coming with birth and death certificates and other questions and concerns. And the clerk's office is like the Google of the city of Dearborn. If you want anything answered, you can go to the city clerk's office. I probably shouldn't have said that out loud because now we're going to get everybody's calls from every.
And are you who is the head of Google? It's what are you're the
well, my staff does a tremendous job. You know, they because they're supposed to know everything about everything, and we of course know a lot about the clerk's office, but we also have to know a little bit about every department because somebody always has a question, and we have to know who to direct them to.
So that's the point I wanted to get to. The clerk's office is this mysterious clerk's office, but
yeah,
and you're the record keeper of the Google, but everybody sort of recognizes it as the running the elections. We'll come back to that after the break. But before that, it's birth and death and dog licenses, and we'll talk about all those sort of things.
Yeah, so we are the major record keeper of the city of Dearborn. So if there's any meetings like any city council meeting, or if the mayor has any special meetings, we get the minutes for those meetings, and we have to keep the minutes for those meetings for forever. I mean, we've got paper coming out of our ears. A lot of people say, well, it's nice, you can get to an age where you don't need paper, you can just scan it. That's not true, the clerk's office. We have to keep the paper records, and I've gone back and seen records all the way back to 1923 with Henry Ford's signature on them. I mean, it's pretty intense, everything that we have to keep. We actually have an off-site location now that we store a lot of things that we need, but we keep records for the DPW, we keep records for engineering, we keep records for all the 30 commissions that the city of Dearborn has. And again, if anybody needs those documents for any reason, they come to us, we dig them out, we find them, and we make sure that they get them.
30 commissions. I had no idea. I know, like, I can't imagine. What are some of the more obscure commissions that the city has?
Well, we have a traffic commission that goes out, and if somebody wants a stop sign someplace.
Are they the guys who put those speed bumps in?
That was the city and the police department that decided on those.
Okay, because I got a bone to pick with somebody about those. Yeah.
Yeah, but they mainly do traffic signings. If it needs a yield sign here, if it needs a stop sign, you have to get rid of the stop signs and put up a light. You know, so there's a member of the members of the traffic commission that do that. The recreation commission, the city beautiful commission. I mean, housing commission. There's every business district has their own commission.
So again, that's part of being involved as a citizen, a civic responsibility.
Yeah.
And I don't know, is there always an overflow of people that are vying to get on the commissions, or how does one get onto a commission? So
now you can just go online, and there is a part of our City of Dearborn website that you can go to, and if you want to be a part of any commission, it'll describe what the commission is, what the commission does, and you can apply for that online. And then the mayor's administration has people that will interview people for those positions.
So what's the main portal for the web for the Dearborn City Clerk's office?
You just go to the regular City of Dearborn .org.
Okay.
Yeah, and then under government, just choose City Clerk.
Okay. So then the commissions are part of it, and the record keeping, and the record is. You told me something while we were getting ready for the show about a lot of death records in Dearborn. Dearborn's got a big hospital, but there's more importantly more people being born in Dearborn than almost any place else in the state.
I had to get my birth certificate from the city of Detroit because I was born in Detroit, and I was telling them, I'm the clerk there, and we were talking about how many that we do, how many do you do, and they go, oh my God, I think you guys do more birth certificates than we do, because there's about 400 people every day being born in Dearborn. Of course, they're not all Dearborn residents, but when they come to get their records, they could be from all over Wayne County or even out of state or out of the country. If they were born in Dearborn, they're going to get their birth record from us. So we do almost 5,000 people being born in Dearborn every year, and about 1,500 people die in Dearborn every year.
And so if someone wanted to get a birth certificate, they can get it right from the state of Michigan.
Yes.
But you can also get it from the city clerk's office.
Yeah, we're a little bit cheaper. It's $25 for one and $5 for everyone after that. We just had a change also. If you're 65 or older, then the first one is only 15, so you get a little bit of break, senior discount.
So can anybody get anybody's birth certificate, or is there a restriction on who can get a birth certificate?
Well, you have to be the parent or the person.
Okay.
There's other little guidelines too. If you're the legal guardian, if you have proof that you're a legal guardian of the child, then you can get it. But we get that all the time. That was a good question, because we get grandparents coming in wanting to get their grandkids' birth certificate, and we can't. An aunt or an uncle or somebody's brother wants to get their sister's birth certificate. That doesn't work either. So there's certain guidelines we have to follow.
Death certificates, the actual dead person can't get it themselves, but who can get the death
That's
certificate?
a public record, so anybody can get anybody's death certificate.
Anybody can get anybody's death certificate.
Yep.
Okay. So,
Yep.
Okay. So, city clerk's office, and when you have this job, there's a lot of going on, a lot of administration, and so what in your educational career in college, for example, if anything, helps you be the clerk?
Well, it's mainly managerial experience that, I think one of the best experiences I had was when I managed my own company, right? Because I had my own employees. I had to, hire a lot of people. I had to let some people go. So just learning how to manage different personalities in a group setting and making sure that everybody's doing their job and everybody's happy. I think my trolley experience being a business manager helped a lot. And then, of course, I took a lot of business classes too, like in accounting and economics, and that helps you because I have a budget I have to prepare, and I have to present that to the council every year. So being aware of the budget and how that works, and that's also the education that I got that helped me through that.
So the budget for the clerk's office, you've got this off-site storage, you've got the facility. The Dearborn City Hall, no longer at Schaefer in Michigan. For a long time now, it's been on Michigan Avenue across from Ford World headquarters.
About 10 years, yeah. Yeah, so, but believe it or not, every department has a facilities fee too that comes based on the square footage that we have in our office. We get charged back to the administration for the use of that area.
You can't fight City Hall about
I know. It goes into one pocket and out the other.
Out the other. How many employees are there in the Dearborn City Clerk's office?
So we have 7, including myself. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is kind of small. I've been hoping to get more, but we're still at 7. Actually, at one point they cut us down to 6, and I fought to get us back to 7 again, because usually cities our size have anywhere from 8 to 10. Places like Ann Arbor have 12. So we're on a little bit on the low side, but we have to make that up with the people that we hire when we do our elections.
Right.
So we hire a lot more voting assistants than a lot of other cities because we don't have the full-time people there.
And you mentioned keeping paper records. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you? I'm always fascinated by indexes and Dewey Decimal System, things like that.
Yeah, we had for a while, and we're still actually doing it with some of our voting assistants. We've got so much paperwork that we have to keep track of. And unfortunately, in prior administrations, that wasn't maybe done as well as it should have been. So now we're trying to catch up to a lot of things, and indexing, like you said, a lot of papers. We just have to go through almost every single file and index it and put it in a box, a banker's box, and then ship it out. So when we go to look it up, we can just look on our screen and know which box that document is in to retrieve it.
Are you going through and scanning all that stuff? Or?
We're not scanning. No, we're just loading up the boxes and shipping them out, because we're supposed to keep original copies of things. Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people talk about going into the technology age or the internet age or the cloud age, and we can just put everything on the cloud. But in the clerk's office, we are bound by certain state laws and regulations saying that we must keep the hard paper copies.
Doesn't stop you from keeping a digital copy, though, if you
No,
want to. So,
right. We can keep that as a backup, sure.
So talk about the technology then. Do you keep scanned copies of anything, or is it all digital? How do you?
No, well, we're trying to keep it better. The city of Dearborn actually is going to a system in November where we believe that it will be a lot more user-friendly online. So right now you can't get a birth or death certificate and pay for it with your credit card online. But they're hoping to get to that system sometime in November or December of this year. Same thing with a dog license or a dog park. You'd have to come in person or send us a check in order to get that. But now we're working on new technologies where we can maybe handle that over the internet.
Sending a check, that's also 20th century, George.
Yeah, I know. Yes. Again, we're hoping to get away from that system. We're using a system that's probably 30, 40 years old right now.
Well, I've been scanning everything I've touched since 2007.
Yeah.
And it makes a big difference in my file cabinets. I don't have file cabinets, I have a file drawer.
Right.
Rather than cabinets, plural. So it makes a big difference, and it's all good.
Yep.
But we're going to take a short break here.
Okay.
We're going to come back and resume our discussion with the Honorable George Darany, City Clerk of the City of Dearborn. We'll get into the election coming up, and people in Dearborn may not know there's an election because no primary, but we'll talk about that and all things electoral right after the break. Don't go away.
Is a kid fearless? Nervous? Playful? Yes. 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 Kiwanis is 600,000 kids at heart doing all the little and big things it takes to help children around the world. Because kids need Kiwanis. All of them.
Welcome back to KiwaniTalk. I'm your host, Gary Gardner. We're talking with the City Clerk of the City of Dearborn, George Darany. Welcome back to the show, George.
Thank you.
And I mentioned before the break that people in Dearborn may not know there's an election this year. And well, why is there is an election, but not in the summer? Why?
So for the first time in Dearborn's 96-year history, we will not be having a primary election because we didn't get enough candidates qualified to have a primary election. As you know, in the primary, we whittle it down to if there's one person running to 2 people. And in our case, for the city council, we have 7 people running, so it has to be less than 15 people not to have a primary, and that's exactly what happened. So there's only 2 people running for mayor, 2 people running for clerk, and 13 people running for city council.
Maybe there was so much exhaustion after all the election in 2024.
Yeah.
So, but we won't go down that path. We're going to
there's a lot of theories on why people are not deciding to jump in and run for office, but they're just theories because no one really knows for sure.
And it's really sad in some respects too, because in a primary, the voter turnout is low.
Yeah.
And as a voter, you really have more impact on your individual vote.
Yes.
On the outcome of the final election.
That's right.
Than you can imagine.
Yeah.
What's the turnout generally in a primary percentage-wise?
In Dearborn, it's about 25%.
25%, and in the general, what's the total?
About 32%.
So that's a sad commentary right there.
Yeah, it's the lowest turnout of any election that we run. Yeah.
Okay, wow, that's pretty sad.
But it's across the board. I mean, I talked to other cities, I talked to other states. I was talking to somebody, I forgot what state it was a southern state that I met, maybe it was Georgia, but they said that sometimes they get less than 10%.
Wow.
For a city election. And they're going, guys, you guys get 25%? That's pretty good. I'm going, really? I guess everything is relative.
It's all relative.
Yeah.
But the voting process, and so there's no primary this year, but November 4th of this year, I think I'm right?
Yes.
Is the general election. What time do the polls open?
So we open at 7 o'clock.
Okay, and they go until?
They go until 8 o'clock.
A very long day.
It's a 13-hour day, yes.
So I imagine you start getting ready about, the end of October for the election in November 4th? Or?
Yeah, right, I wish. No, we'll be starting up end of August, because we need to get the ballots ready, because in September, those ballots have to be sent out to the people that want. we used to call them the absentee ballot list, but now it's called the permanent ballot list, because now you're on a permanent list. You don't have to send in an application now to be on the permanent ballot list.
Even with absentee voting or permanent absentee voting,
Yep.
you still only get 25%.
Yeah.
How hard is, I'm sorry, well, I'm not going to go down
You're
that
right,
route.
though. Yeah, I mean, you got 40 days to vote. You can actually get your ballot like the September 24th, September 25th, something like that. So you've got 45 days to fill it out, send it back, and drop it in a drop box if you want to do that, or come and see us and drop it off. It's pretty simple, and
So there's actually three kinds of voting, I think. There's
Yep.
the absentee voting where you mail it in or drop it off. Mm-hmm. There's the in-person early voting. Talk about how new that is and how that works.
Yeah, it's very new. It just started last February, and so we've run it 3 times now. The first 2 times we didn't get hardly any response at all because we had it. It's 9 days before the election. It's actually 2 weekends and the week in between those 2 weekends before the election. So the first time around we had, I think, 850 people that voted in those 9 days. The second time we had about 680 people that voted. But when it came to the presidential election in November, we had over 7,000 people that took advantage of it.
I think there's a big push from some political parties to get out, vote early so we don't have to chase you.
Yeah, right. And people were worried about, okay, is the line's going to be super long on election day? Is there going to be an issue or a problem on election day? And so they just wanted to get that out of the way early.
Having been a candidate in last November's election, I know that one of the things that my campaign was focused on was to get people out to vote early so we don't have to chase them. So rather than when you're going door to door with your campaign, you don't go to a house where everybody's already voted.
Yes.
You don't send mailings to them if they've already voted. And
Right.
it helps to target the voters that you want to get to.
Yeah, and you can get that list from us that tells you which people have already voted, so you don't have to, if you haven't mailed out anything yet, or if you want to mail out a second one, you wouldn't be mailing it to the same person that you said has already voted.
So just as a purely personal thing, how up to date is that list? If I was say at October 30th, how up to date is the city's like? Who's voted so far? How can I tell?
It's usually a 24-hour turnaround.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, pretty good. So
Yeah.
So that's the second way is the in-person absentee voting or in-person early voting.
You're right.
And the third is the traditional way where you go into the polling place.
Yep.
And you actually stand in line and show your ID, or hopefully, or if you, I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Or declare that you're the voter.
Yes.
And go ahead and vote.
Yes.
Yeah, that's another discussion. But so at the polls, you have workers that are there all day.
Yeah.
What kind of training do those people get?
So luckily for us, we have a lot of people that have done it 5, 10, 15, 20 years and more. So those are the ones that we depend on to help train the other people that might have only done it for a year or two. But everybody goes through at least one training of 2 hours. And if we have like 7 classes, and if you don't get it the first time or you don't think you got it, you can come back to the second class or the third class or the fourth class. So we have about 300 people that we have to train. Again, a lot of them have been experienced, so they don't really need a whole lot of training. But there's always updates that they have to be aware of. So, but it's basically learning from the people that are there that have done it many, many years before.
And when in Dearborn, when you go to vote, where do you? How many polling places are there in Dearborn?
We have the most, other than Detroit. We have 31 locations. We're trying to condense that. We're going to be talking to the council and to the administration about that because we're the only city in Wayne County that hasn't consolidated precincts in the last 10 years.
And those are mostly in what kind of locations are the polling places in?
Well, they're mostly schools.
Okay.
Yeah, 26 out of the 31 are schools.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when someone goes in and say they are English isn't their first language.
Yep.
What does the city do to help those people out? How can they get help?
So we now at every one of our 31 locations, we'll have somebody there that speaks at least Arabic, and we're also working on getting somebody that speaks at least Spanish. at least one person at all those 31 locations.
Okay.
So, and sometimes we'll have 5 or 6 people that speak the Arabic language
Right.
at these locations. So we've gotten a lot better at making sure that people get the help that they need once they get there. If they're unfamiliar with the English ballot or they can't read the Arabic ballot, because a lot of people can speak Arabic and understand Arabic, but they don't read Arabic.
Right.
So it doesn't make any difference for them if they get an Arabic ballot or an English ballot, but we'll have people there that will explain the ballot to them.
But English and Arabic aren't the only languages, and we talked before about on-demand ballots in languages other than just English and Arabic.
Yeah, so the state legislature is working on a bill that would allow almost 20, 25 different languages to be on the ballot, and it would be like a ballot on demand. You would just walk up to us with new machinery that's coming in a couple years that would allow us to, if you wanted in French or Japanese or Chinese, we could just hit the button and you could get your ballot in one of 20 languages.
Be interesting at the absentee counting station to see if you're trying to count those ballots, if you're doing a hand count, how to figure that out. Have you thought about that part of it?
No, that has not been discussed yet, but yeah, but that's a question that a lot of clerks have. Yep.
Right. So, and it's not just people with languages, but there's also people with physical disabilities.
Right.
Talk about the ADA assistance that you can get as a voter.
So yeah, we're pretty proud of being kind of the front runners in that. We're one of the first cities in Wayne County actually that actually had voting booths that were lower and wider to accommodate wheelchairs. It wasn't mandatory, but we thought it was important enough to do that in Dearborn, and we worked with our Disabilities Commission in Dearborn to help us get that designed and get that up and running, and we got a grant for that, and so that was very helpful. But we do everything that we can to make sure that anybody that hearing impaired, sight impaired, or physically impaired, if they want to come and vote in person, we're going to give you that opportunity.
And as we're down to about our last 2 minutes, let's talk about things that are coming down the pike. One of the things that is looming, I'll call it its ugly head, is ranked choice voting.
Yeah, that's a system that I'm not too familiar with because, of course, it hasn't been enacted in Michigan. But the legislature is thinking about it, though I don't think they're thinking seriously about it. There is a petition drive that just got approved by the Attorney General's office. They need to collect 466,000 signatures to get it on next November's ballot. So they'll be out there now actually trying to get people to sign that ranked choice voting. So not necessarily the first person that has the highest number of votes will actually win the election if they don't get more than 50%. If there's 5 people running and the one in first place only got 40%, then they go through the ranked choice and what you picked for your second person, or who did you want for your third person or fourth person.
So it's possible that the second choice for more people than the first choice person would win.
In Alaska, the fourth place person won a Republican House seat, the fourth place person.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Anything you want to say to the voters of Dearborn, George?
Well, I just want to remind people, as you mentioned, that we do not have a primary election in August for the first time in 96 years in Dearborn, but don't forget us in November. November, we definitely have an election. You'll elect the clerk, you'll elect the mayor, and you'll elect 7 council people. So I'm hoping you'll come out strong and vote in Dearborn in November.
Well, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure. I like to learn something, too, and I always get education from George Darany.
Thank you.
George, thank you very much for coming on the show. And
my pleasure.
Thank you for tuning in to KiwaniTalk. I'm Gary Gardner. See you next time. Bye-bye.